Welcome, everyone, to our next session spotlight for Convergence 2026. This is an opportunity for you to get to know our upcoming leaders, their sessions, and to give you a better idea of what you might like to register for during Convergence 2026 in New Orleans. Today, we will be hearing from the following leaders: Dulaney, Phyllis Carlyle, Ruth Hallows, and Heather Macali. Mary Zickafoos unfortunately had to reschedule, so we'll be seeing her on Thursday instead of today. And yes, registration is open. We have advanced priority registration currently ongoing, with advanced opening on October 27th and general registration beginning on November 10th. If you're interested in getting a head start on registration, please head online or give us a call and we would be happy to help you out. As a reminder, Convergence 2026 will be taking place in New Orleans, Louisiana from August 12th through the 16th. If you've not already looked through the registration booklet, you can find a digital copy online. There, you will find all kinds of information about the different sessions and events taking place, including the marketplace, exhibits, fashion show, keynote speaker, tours, and more. We will be hosting over 100 sessions ranging from 90-minute seminars to 3-day workshops. To kick us off today, we've got Kira, who is going to be talking about the Visible Mending with Speedweve, Looms, and Embroidery class.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited about this class because I love teaching people in general how to make things, but how to mend things is really exciting because it comes to a point where something bad happens to your clothing or your textiles, you get a hole or a stain or a rip, and it's not a tragedy. It can actually be exciting because you can start thinking about all the different options that you have to fix it. So I'm going to show a couple of samples that are live in person, and I've got a few slides for you as well, and we should have some time for questions. This is a 3-hour class that's happening on Sunday morning. And students are going to make something similar to this, where we're going to do a small patch with a Speedweve loom, and then also practice a few different kinds of embroidery. You can bring something to mend, but more likely you'll be doing a sample. You can certainly make it look extra cute. Here's a little flower basket. Or you can possibly mend something small. So I'm going to show a video of this in a minute, but this is one of the Speedweve looms. They were popularized in the 40s, and they're really cool because they make it easier for you to do a woven patch. You can do it with just a needle and thread for sure, but with this, it makes it faster, it makes it neater, and it makes the action of mending fun. And for me, that it's all the difference between doing it or saying, I could mend that and just putting it away for a while. So these little looms have hooks holding your threads, and when you turn them, it changes which threads are raised or lowered. So anyone who already weaves, especially on a rigid heddle loom or a Salary loom or any other 2-shaft loom, it's similar. So I can weave into this space here and pack down my previous row. And when I change the direction of the hooks, it changes the shed, and then I can go and do an opposite to my row that I did before. It's also just kind of fun to do this motion, but I'm going to show you a quick video of that in just a second. All right, so my class is covering both embroidery and Speedweve looms, probably practicing maybe mending something small, but hopefully inspiring you and giving you all the skills to mend once you get home. Embroidery is a really fun way to be decorative about fixing things. You may need to do a sort of functional mend underneath, sewing something together that's come apart, perhaps patching from the underside, but then embroidering through all the layers to add some whimsy. It's kind of fun. This particular dress, I splattered oil all over the very first day that I was wearing it. And it was really sad at first, and that's when I realized that you can use embroidery over stains and not just over rips. So I did a bunch of stars on here. You could be school of fish, it could be flowers. There's lots of things that make sense for small repeated stains. If you have a big stain or rip, you might even look at the shape of that and let it kind of lead you in a particular direction. I once had a class where somebody had a big bleach stain, and the class as a group decided it was a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And so then she started like adding little teeth and little tiny arms. It was adorable. In general, with the embroidery, I fix the problem or cover it up, and then I keep going till it feels intentional to me. So here I've got solid embroidery over stains, and I added some more, just kind of make it feel like it was on purpose. 2 years later, I stained this dress again and added more stars in a different color. In general, we use an embroidery hoop here to stabilize the fabric, and you have an option of dissolvable stabilizer as well, and we'll talk through all of that in class, and I'll have samples as well as the materials kits available. Needle felting I generally just do as a demo, but it's a great way to mend woolen items. Could be sweaters, could be suits. Really nice for moth holes when you have lots of them kind of scattered around something. You generally want to do it with a wool or wool blend fibers and a wool or wool blend base fabric. Use a needle felting foam or brush and a special felting needle, and basically it tangles the fibers together and shrinks them up. It does create a denser fabric, not too dissimilar to if you accidentally put a wool item through the washing machine and dryer and it shrinks to a hard, dense fabric. So it's very, very strong, and it really does bond the mending fiber to the base fabric, so it lasts for a long, long time. Again, here I would fix the problem and then keep going till it seems like it's on purpose. Sometimes just one patch of embroidery feels a little bit random, but if you build onto it and add on or repeat it in other areas, you end up with something really beautiful, hiding a stain. This is a very sped up video. This is really about a 22-minute video, but it's showing the mending loom and putting the disc inside, in this case it's a sock with a hole, and securing it with a rubber band. And then notice I'm putting the metal part of the loom on at an angle. That's so that I can retain the stretch of my base knit fabric even though I'm doing a woven patch. Here I'm going to do a houndstooth woven patch. So you can see I'm doing every other hook. So I go up and down for 2 warp ends, leave a gap of a hook, and up and down again with my first color. I use my little straight edge there just to give myself a nice even line at the bottom, because it's easy to accidentally tilt upwards. Here I'm bringing in my second color. We will go so much slower in class, don't worry, but I think it's fun to see it all happening quickly. And when I start weaving here, I'm going to do 2 weft picks with my light color and 2 weft picks with my dark color. You'll see each time I am pushing the hooks to the opposite side and then taking a stitch through the base fabric with my needle to anchor it. The needle's acting as both the shuttle and the beater, as well as a needle for those stitches at the side. In class, we'll do a 1 thread sample, but you can certainly use a color changing yarn to get what I call free plaid, where you have the idea of plaid without having to manage multiple colors. So here I'm at the top. I'm going to take that off, and the top is open, so I use the needle and a whip stitch to stitch those loops closed. If I have multiple colors like this, I usually do that with a darker color, so it's a little sneakier. And then at the end, I'm going to need to get all my threads to the inside and tuck them in. If you're working on a knit fabric, you could weave it in the same way you might when you're knitting something, but generally for the woven patches, I'm just stitching back and forth through the edges. This particular sock has been through the washing machine many times in the years since I've recorded this video, and none of that has come out. And it's so cute that I literally will take my shoes off to show people the patches on my socks because they're so much fun. Right, I think I saw a question pop up somewhere in there. I just want to mention
That
this
was
is it.
such a lovely little overview. Thank you so much. So, I see that this is a 3-hour seminar,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm curious what should students bring along to the class with them?
So it's a pretty big materials list, but I have materials kits available to make that easy. It's optional to bring something that you want to mend, which we might mend in class, or we certainly will find time to discuss sort of a plan of action. You will need an embroidery kit, so embroidery hoop, needles, some threads that work well for embroidery. And then you'll also need a Speedweve mending loom kit. So that would be the mending loom itself, those nice long needles. It's usually about a 3-inch needle. There are different kinds that can work. A needle threader, if you have trouble threading needles, is always good. And some different kinds of threads and yarns. the kits that I have, I've got a few different price points for them. And for the mending loom, I've got samples of like a wool nylon sock yarn, similar to what I would knit a sock with. For those of you who are knitters, a fingering weight yarn. A thinner wool nylon mending yarn, and then also some sashiko thread, which is a particular kind of embroidery thread that is not made to separate the way that most embroidery threads we're used to in this country are, because separating thread when you're weaving is just really, really frustrating. So if you have stuff, that's great. You just want to make sure you have everything on the list. If you don't, I have kits and even a special code so that you don't pay shipping, and I'll just bring it to class and have your name on it waiting for you.
Awesome. And we do have, if somebody doesn't have something that they want to mend, but
Mhm.
they want to try these mending techniques, should they just bring some spare fabric, or what do you recommend in that situation?
Yeah, yeah. If you get a kit for me, I will have fabric in there, but I also put the kits in a little bag. And so a fun thing to do is decorate the bag itself. You don't have to be mending, you could just play with it. But yeah, otherwise, a scrap of fabric is great. You know, if you have an embroidery hoop that's big, you need a fabric that fits all the way through that embroidery hoop. But it doesn't have to be even anything that's broken. You can bring something that you would like to decorate. You know, just a t-shirt or a pair of jeans that are boring. It's maybe something that you already pack for the event and you just make it extra beautiful before you go home.
I love that idea. We've got, oh, hold on. Is there is there a way to use the Speedweve to create designs like the hearts?
You could. So the action of the speed weave, as it is with these little loops, is a lot like a rigid heddle loom or any other thing that you're sort of weaving, so that you can either have odds up or evens up as you're weaving, and those are your two sheds. So I like to use them with my rigid heddle color and weave tricks, where based on the order of the color for the warp and the weft, I'm weaving plain weave, but I get an interesting pattern like that houndstooth. That said, you can absolutely do more manipulative techniques. You could throw a little pickup stick in there. I've seen people do overshot. I wouldn't start there. So we're going to do a plain weave in class, but you can certainly get into like hand manipulating the patterns. Absolutely.
This I was going to say, Elizabeth just put in, we might need a longer version of this workshop at a
Yeah,
future Convergence, because this sounds like a lovely intro, but it sounds like you can really expand upon this and increase your skills even after once you get the hang of the tool.
absolutely. Actually, I pitched it as a one-day workshop and a half-day workshop. And so this is what the group ended with. But it's always fun to have more time to really delve into it. And when we do a full day, we do start with a needle felting, which is very fun and kind of tactile. It almost feels like you're coloring, but with wool, and is
Hmm.
a good icebreaker for a long day class.
Well, I'm very excited to see what you guys work on. I love the aesthetic of these visible mending techniques. So thank you so much for diving into this with us. Again, that was Kira Dulaney talking about the visible mending with Speedweave Loom and Embroidery Workshop, which is going to be a 3-hour seminar on Sunday, August 16th.
All right, wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Up next, we've got Phyllis Carlyle, who's going to be talking about her Better Smartphone Photography for Fiber Arts class. And I believe I'm getting the PowerPoint up for this one, so let me get my screen shared as well.
Are you ready for me?
I think so. Is it showing the full screen to you guys?
No, we're seeing
It
this
looks
slide,
different.
the wrong.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm not used to actual
Oh,
PowerPoint. I'm used
go
to,
to slideshow, play from start.
I did that too, and it did
But we're
that.
seeing your, stop your share.
Okay,
You're on are you on two monitors where you're at?
I am.
All right, go ahead and put it in PowerPoint view and then do a new share because you're sharing the wrong monitor.
But then Zoom is gone and I can't.
It will. You just gotta toggle and it'll come up, the share will come up on one of them. Reduce the one that is the presenter view.
That's
Or I can talk
I've
without
never
it.
used PowerPoint.
Yeah, go ahead and start talking, Phyllis. And
Okay. Hello, I'm Phyllis Carlyle. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. And today I'm featuring my 90-minute seminar on better smartphone photography for fiber artists. After all, with global adoption of smartphones, most of us have a computer, including a wonderful phone, in our pockets every day. The only thing you need to bring to this seminar is a pen, because I will have a comprehensive handout available for you. My credentials are that after a career in textiles and apparel, I made a midlife change to graphic design and marketing communication. I have taken and edited thousands of photos for printed and web, assisting and learning from many professional photo shoots, mostly in product photography. So that works really well with fiber. In addition to numerous photography classes in college, adult education, and online, I have also increased skills with self-study through books, magazines, and YouTube videos. From my first Instamatic in 4th grade to using an iPhone since 2010, I have enjoyed taking and sharing photographs, saving them in albums or on my PC, and using them in my art. Erica, do you have the slideshow ready now?
getting it for you,
Not
Phyllis. Give me
letting me
just a
get out of
second.
presenter view, so Elizabeth, I forwarded it to Elizabeth and she'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
It's loading. Give me just a moment.
Okay, I'll just keep talking, and then once it comes up, I'll tell you when to change the slides. Since my family and I all have iPhones, we will be featuring the iPhone. On the other hand, the seminar includes many transferable skills in taking better photographs, no matter what camera you use. Past attendees who've used other brands have enjoyed sharing their unique features and expressed satisfaction with what they learned, so don't consider that it's focusing on the iPhone to be a barrier. Recently, a participant said that I should add the subtitle to this presentation that says, "I didn't know my phone would do that." In the past several years, I have perfected methods for creating image-worthy photographs to enter shows and conferences, having work accepted in the International Quilt Show, Midwest Weavers Conference, and Convergence, among others. So this quilt is not showing one I've entered, but it's showing photographs that I took on my iPhone and printed at spoon flour and then appliqued onto the quilt. So you can use your iPhone photos in your art as well as promoting your art. Next slide, please. Here are some of the specifics that we will be covering. There are many built-in iPhone settings that help you take better photographs. You will receive tips on better lighting, which is actually applicable to all photography. We will cover shooting control techniques, tips to help with better composition that are built into the iPhone, special in-camera effects, and finally, minor in-phone editing, which is very helpful for improving each pictures. Finally, I will cover file management to help you save and find your photos on your computer slide. Next slide, please. You are certain to learn more about using your phone to take better photographs and how to improve them too. You will be able to achieve higher quality images using my tips and in-phone camera features and light editing. I hope you can be more organized when saving and manage your files and do it in a more permanent fashion. And finally, I want you to create better images to be more competitive when entering your art or just for your own increased enjoyment. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing some more about that class. Looks like we're going to get a nice overview of a lot of different features. Couple questions for you. You mentioned the iPhone a handful of times. If somebody has an Android smartphone, can they also take this class, or is it specific to iPhones?
No, they can also take the class. I've had Android and other users in my classes, and they've expressed that they learned plenty of things anyway. And some of them even pipe up and say, "Oh, well, you can do this." Like the other night I gave this presentation. They said, if you hold up your hand, it gives you on a selfie, it gives you a 3-second delay so you can run in to get into the picture. So that's something the iPhone doesn't have. So I learned something too.
Yeah, all the phones have so many different features anymore. So what is, if a student is coming, we know we got to bring a phone. Is there anything else that they should bring with them to
All
class?
they need is a pen and the willingness to learn.
We've got a question that just came into, will there be opportunities to practice photographing? Are there going to be objects to practice on?
No, there won't, because when you see what all I'm going to cover, you can see that 90 minutes is just about right, and there's not much time left over.
So really a big information session. Folks are
Right.
going to be walking away with all of the knowledge of what to try.
Sure.
And we've got, for everybody tuning in too, Elizabeth, our executive director, said y'all can practice all week long in our exhibit area.
Well, my class is until Saturday morning, but she has a good point.
We can walk around the marketplace then, or before and after sessions. Also, we can do all sorts of things. Thank you so much for giving us that overview of the class. Again, that was Phyllis Carlyle talking about her Better Smartphone Photography for Fiber Artists 90-minute seminar that's going to be taking place Saturday, August 15th. And next we've got Ruth Hallows.
My camera's being a little unresponsive. Let me see if I can get it up. Amisha, Shimlik Shkenda Wam Ganhada, Simshianu. My Raven clan name is Women of the Cedar Mat. I am Simshian, which is a people indigenous to the coastal and river waterways of the Pacific Northwest. And I'm excited to share some of the finishing techniques of our hand twined textiles. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to visit the Bill Holmes Center for Northwest Coast Art at the Burke Museum in Seattle this summer as a sorry, I broke my leg about 5 days ago and my brain is still not back online. I'm going to be really slow right now in speaking.
Take your
But
time.
I was able to visit as a researching artist, that's the word I'm looking for, and look at several of the finishing techniques that I haven't been able to do, had not been able to do at that time. So we'll talk about several finishing techniques of the Northwest coastal peoples Chilkat weaving. On the left, there's some finishing with deer toes, and on the right, there are some copper cones, which are phenomenal for our ceremonial textiles when they are danced in ceremony. They make a lovely noise and they help the warp ends to sway and really pop when we're dancing. We will also talk a little bit. Did the image switch? Have I shared my
It
screen
did.
correctly? Okay.
Yes.
We'll also talk about fur wrapping. This piece is currently traveling with the HGA Small Expressions exhibit right now in Linwood, Washington. Linden. But we'll talk about fur wrapping, which is a technique that covers the warp ends on the top of a piece. And we'll actually have an interactive portion. Let me make this smaller so it's not in the way. This is on the left, you see a Chilkat tunic, a dance tunic. These were used in ceremony to dance particular songs, to celebrate at different times of the year and seasons. And if you look closely along the bottom, these free hanging warp ends are all bundled and then wrapped together to do finishing rather than noise making. So the interactive portion of the workshop, each participant will create their own Chilkat wrapped tassel with all merino wool. It's thigh spun warp that is created in a traditional way and hand-dyed weft that will be included for each participant in the class. And then you will be able to take these finishing techniques and hopefully apply them to your own weaving. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions?
Awesome. So these are such beautiful, beautiful pictures and pieces that you're showing us. So I love how this is like a nice little, in the same way, an introductory, but also showing how to finish up these pieces. We've got a question from Marcia that came in that says, what type of warp spinning did you mention during your little intro?
Thigh spinning. So we take roving, 2 pieces of roving, and it's usually wet in warm water. Some people more recently will spray it with a spray bottle. And you spin 2 pieces of roving that you've pulled to be about pencil thickness, and spin them down your thigh and then ply them together by spinning in the opposite direction.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So we've got for this class what students can expect to see or expect to experience in this 90 minute. It's really quick. We're going to get like a lecture with a demonstration, but they're also going to have this interactive element. Is that correct? Where they get to make the tassels?
Yes, each participant will be able to make a Chilkat tassel, and we'll discuss how you might be able to apply that to whatever your own weaving techniques are. What is the art that you participate in?
And do they
Embroidery.
need to bring anything with them to the session, or
I
what's going to be
am
provided?
They will be provided with the thigh spun warp, the hand dyed weft in ceremonial Chilkat colors. I'll also have a selection of more recent colors, modern colors. That's not what I mean, but either. But if you don't want the ceremonial Chilkat, natural black, white, yellow, blue, I'll have some other additional colors as well that you could choose from. And you'll get a spring clip that it attaches to. If you would prefer, you could bring a pair of earrings and make yourself a pair of Chilkat tassel earrings to drop them from, or a keychain. But nothing is needed to bring other than uh, your brain and your desire to learn, and hands to twine with.
Awesome. So this is, if anybody's looking for an easy one, you don't got to bring anything along with you. You just get a lot out of this, a lot of learning and a little bit of hands-on experience too. So thank you so much for going over this with us, and thank you for joining us today, even though you broke your leg. I hope that that heals up for you really quick and it's not giving you too much pain.
Oh, just knew you. I meet with the surgeon tomorrow and find out how many pins I need. So.
Oh goodness. Okay. Hopefully nothing too bad. That we'll keep you in our thoughts for that. And again, that was Ruth Hallows talking about the Chilkat Warp Wrapping 90-minute seminar that is taking place on Sunday, August 16th. And our last leader for today is Heather Macali.
Hi, thank you for having us all to talk about our workshops. Okay.
Thank you for being here. We love hearing about them. It's so much fun.
All right, I'm just going to share my PowerPoint here. Okay, so I am going to be hosting an Ikat warp workshop. A little bit about me. Currently, I'm an associate professor at Wayne State in fibers. It's my 13th year. I dabble in many different techniques since students tend to be interested in a lot of things, but I would say my own loves are weaving, dyeing, and spinning. So the workshop is going to be held on the 15th and 16th of August. It's 2 full days. The material fee is $65, and all levels are welcome, but I would say you should feel pretty confident on threading your loom, whatever loom you have at home, because we're just going to be preparing the warps and dyeing them, and then you will take that home and weave it at home. So I'm just going to go through a couple images here. For the workshop at Convergence, we are going to discuss about designing your own scarf, which is going to be 80 inches long. We're going to be utilizing, I usually use a superwash merino, but I'm kind of sourcing different wools right now. So it could be a regular merino, so more hand washed if we go that route. But I'm trying to find, I guess, a wool that I'm going to be bringing to Convergence. But it will definitely be a protein fiber, and we are going to design our own scarves. If that becomes too overwhelming for participants, I do have, and you can see in the picture on the left, I have a design that I have already created, and I have directions for that. So we'll discuss the best way to design your own Ikat, and then we'll work on that the first day. And then in the afternoon on the first day, we're going to want to start winding our warps towards maybe like halfway through the afternoon. And then in the morning the next day, and that's what the woman on the right is doing. She's starting to wind her bundles. Something I should have said at the beginning that you can see in the left-hand side picture is that Ikat basically is a resist dyeing technique where you bundle the warps and then the dye does not penetrate it. So you can see here on the right, those like pinkish red little bow looking things on the warp. They are bound tightly around the different bundles of the warp. On the left, you can see that we're using warping pegs, which I am bringing for everyone. And then each time you want a certain resist pattern, you will wind your own or a separate warp bundle for each area. We'll have the option of dyeing an ombre, so two colors. Either you can do it one color to another, or you can dye it where the middle has a color and the two ends have a color. So both of those options are available. You can see we're rinsing our warp bundles there on the right, and they did a green and purple warp. And then on the left, it was olive and a magenta pink. It was actually quite beautiful. This is an example of the warp bundles laid out next to each other, with the Ikat tape still bound on the warps. You can see the ombre between like the dark teal to the hot pink, and then you get a little bit of purple in there. You can utilize this technique on pretty much any like table loom. You can use it on rigid heddle depending on how well it, how large it is for how it will wind onto your warp beam, and then also the floor looms. Before we start designing and figuring out how many bundles you'll need, we will discuss if you warp from the front or the back, because that does affect how we prepare our warps. So we will have that conversation as well. And then this is an example of the pattern that, or the design that I created with two color orange and purple. Something to keep in mind for this class, excuse me, is that we will be dyeing with acid dyes. So the goal of using acid dyes is to exhaust all of the color into the fabric, so we end up with clear water. So we will talk about that as well. And we will be using hot plates or heating elements to have the dye absorb into the yarns. We are going to be utilizing 12 EPI as our density, and thinking about plain weave or a twill for the structure for when you go to weave it on your loom. If anybody has any questions specifically for me, you can go ahead and email me at heathermacali@gmail.com, and then my website is there as well as Instagram, etc.
This is such an exciting class for me. I have so many questions, but this isn't the class, so I just need to sign up for the class. But I do have a couple questions that maybe will help potential students as well. So you said that everybody is welcome. They just will need to know how to utilize the warp essentially after class on a loom. What about prior dye knowledge? Do they need to have any experience with dyeing before class?
Nope, I'm going to give all of that information.
Okay. You also talked about the ombre options and the different ways that you could get the colors together. Can somebody do a solid color as
Yeah.
well if they want then?
Yes, they can.
And are those dye colors like if people want to do the ombre, are there only going to be two colors available or are people going to have a selection to choose from?
I'll have like the rainbow available, but it's only two colors for how we're going to be able to utilize the ombre. If they do this technique again at home, they could definitely take what I've given them and make multiple colors. But for space and time restraints, we would limit it to two colors. But they can pick whatever. I have, I don't know, maybe like 25 different colors.
Going to be a colorful, colorful classroom. Um, Last question I kind of have on the top of my head here is you talked about having your warp at 12 EPI. Is that something folks need to prepare ahead of time, or are you making the entire warp in class as well?
We will be winding our warps on warping pegs in class. So I'm going to provide 1 pound of the yarn for each participant. And then whatever is left over is they can take it home to utilize as their weft.
Bringing a bunch of stuff for students then. So what should students know that they need to bring? What should be on the top of their mind?
I don't have anything that they need to bring. I'll have handouts, so maybe a pen if they don't carry that with them all the time to make sure that they bring that. But I'll have scissors, I'll have the Ikat tape, I'll have the warping pegs, the dye, all the auxiliaries. So
Awesome. That sounds so great. Students love it when I think when they don't have to bring too much stuff. We're traveling from all over. So this will be so exciting and I can't wait to see all the colors everybody chooses and come check out all the designs. Thank you again for sharing. That was Heather Macali sharing about the Ikat Warp Workshop, which is a 2-day workshop taking place Saturday and Sunday, August 15th and 16th, 2026. For more information about all of the classes and how to register, you can go to our website, weavespindye.org. Look under our Convergence tab there and head to Sessions and Leaders, and you'll be able to find all sorts of good information.
I also want to add in, Erica, that we have a worksheet that you can download. This is a copy of it. It's broken out by day with links to the sessions, tours, etc. But this is so to help you think about how you want to plan your schedule. So for example, on Tuesday, which is the day before the conference starts, there are opportunities. You can take the tour, which would start at 8:15 and go to about 5:30. You could also just use that time to explore New Orleans. We've got our registration time on here, but that will help you think about how do you plan your day the day before. But then once we move into the conference, we have this lovely worksheet with every class listed. So you can say, well, if I want to take this class here on Wednesday morning, what are my opportunities after that class ends? And then we have everything that is included that's extra. So if it's included with the CVP, such as the welcome breakfast, you can mark that. You've got the fashion show that evening. And then let's say you want to take this 3-day workshop here. You could, on the next page, it's going to be grayed out. So you got to remember, oh, I've got that worksheet, so I can't take anything here on Thursday. But every class is listed on this in the time slot that it's going to take place. So our 90-minute sessions are broken out each part of the day. And then we have our half-day sessions here. Remember, those end at 12 o'clock. So if you do take a half-day class in the morning, you'll have that extra half hour here for either shopping in the marketplace, looking at exhibits, taking a lunch, whatever it may be. So you can download this and print it and help plan your schedule. We've even got reminders here to make sure you plan time to visit the marketplace and exhibits or to volunteer, because we could not get through the conference without our volunteers. So we hope that this you find helpful for making your plan for how you want to spend your time when you're in New Orleans at Convergence.
We love that visual. That is such a helpful way to see how you can map out your week at HGA's Convergence. Thank you for sharing that. And we are going to be offering session spotlights every day at 1 p.m. Eastern Time until mid-November. And the recordings will be available on HGA's YouTube channel. So if there are any other classes you're interested in, please join us, and I look forward to seeing you all in the Q&A.